Yo, what's up, fam? Time for our midweek check-in, which I am starting to really enjoy having these happen. I love the idea of you all knowing what's going on and even being able to have a place to talk with a little more detail about that. And so there's two things in this midweek check-in. One, Man Time. Man Time has been meeting every other Saturday now for a couple of months, 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays. And Man Time is starting a new study, and I want you guys to hear a little bit about that from one of the leaders. So Bruce Bowman is going to take it, and then I'll jump back in a second.
Hey, church family, this is Bruce Bowman. I lead the men's ministry with Joey Shirley. We meet on Saturday mornings every other week, starting at 8 a.m. We try to get together and do some breakfast and fellowship and get in the Word a little bit. This month we are focused on a book called All Things New by John Eldredge. Whether you like the author or not, it's opened some good conversations. And in addition to that, we're going to repost Pastor Chase's sermon series on eschatology on Unison Family. So you want to check out that. You can reach out to Joey or I, and we can tell you the book cost and where to get it. I think you can pick it up for $3 electronically.
Sweet. Thanks, Bruce. New study coming this Saturday. Come in 8 o'clock this Saturday and get ready to enjoy some time of fellowship with the dudes of Unison. So something else going on. We've talked about this kind of, I won't say lightly, but we've talked about for some time now, Unison transitioning from what is called developmental status to established church status. And so we're part of the Wesleyan denomination, and there are two kind of statuses for that. And ultimately, I'll talk about what those status differences are in a minute. But because we were a church plant, we had started almost 7 years ago, we were in developmental status. And ultimately what that means is big decisions like hiring, also making decisions about our budget, making decisions about any land or property that we purchase and things like that. Those decisions are made by a board that serves for our denomination as a whole. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially when you're in developmental status. It's a really good thing to have some folks who have kind of been in the game for a while to kind of help lead and guide through some of those big decisions. But as a church matures and grows, not just numerically, but grows in its systems and structures, having others make those decisions become really challenging for that church to make decisions that are going to be in the church's best interest, right? Which is kind of true for anything that grows, right? Even as we grow as people, parents typically making decisions for children, and then as they get older, if those parents keep making decisions for an adult child, it's a no-go, right? And some of you have lived that life. So as we are moving into a space where we are maturing, we've really been looking at what does it look like for us to kind of transition into an established church space. And that gives us the ability to do hiring, to do things with the property that we just purchased, do things as a church that ultimately are gonna, for those of us who are part of the Unison family, who are gonna feel those decisions, we'll be able to be a part of making those decisions. What that means is we will have to have an established local board, which is really a minimum of 3 people, and which I'll be talking with those folks in here in the next few weeks. And then also at least 25 adult members who are a part of Unison, which there's more than that. And ultimately we vote on that as a church family, and we'll do that together in a family meeting. So we're gonna make that transition to becoming an established church. And the cool thing about that is, as it is right now, it looks like we can do that before our 7th birthday, which is really cool. So I want you to put on your calendars March 27th. It shouldn't be that big of a thing in terms of our calendars. We're actually going to do it right after service. So we'll have our gathered worship as normal. We'll start at 10:30. We're going to end probably around 11:30. And then at about 11:45 is when we'll kind of transition to having a family meeting. And in that family meeting, we will kind of vote to establish our first board, and also then vote to become an established church. And the beauty of what that is it gives us quite a bit more autonomy as a church as we continue to mature and continue to live out the mission that God's called us to here. Ultimately, this is about us living out the mission in this part of the world that God's called us to. And as we mature, we want to be able to do that with freedom and the way that we feel like the Holy Spirit is leading us. So this gives us that avenue for doing that well. If you have any questions about that, please, by all means, shoot me an email, chase@unisongr.com. I do not mind answering any questions. It would be new for us, but I really think it's going to be a good decision for us moving forward. And so look forward to being here for that meeting March 27th. It'll be right after service, so you don't feel like you have to go anywhere. And we're also not going to be very long. We'll be like 45 minutes to an hour so that people can still eat lunch. So, I know that's what some of you were thinking about. So March 27th, right after service, we'll vote to become an established church and then celebrate that also on April 3rd, which is our birthday Sunday. So looking forward to being with you all this Sunday, but that's something to have on your calendars and to be praying about. And that'll be a great time for you to ask some questions and get some things answered there as well. All right, love y'all. See you in a couple days.